me, Captain Preetham Madhukar, founder of Skills Beyond Education and elite performance coach, author of the book Three Culprits: Laziness, Fear, and Doubt. I'm also a TEDx speaker, and thank you so much for joining me on this show at Dialogues, where I bring very, very interesting speakers, expert speakers on different subjects of life, parenting, high performance. And today with me, I have a very special guest, Mansi Srivastava, who's the principal of Kipina Indonesian, kids preschool, and she has been doing some amazing work. And she's also an award-winning educator, leadership educator. She has done a master's in Paris, many certifications, and now she's a principal doing some amazing work. And I thought she's the ideal person to learn about kindergarten education, and especially the inspirational ideas that she brings from John Maxwell and other influencing uh, principles. Thank you so much, Mansi, for joining me today, and especially from Indonesia. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you all these insights about kindergarten education.
Thank you, Captain Preetham, for a lovely introduction. It's my pleasure to come again, get associated with you, and we got in touch during our conference in Ed Talk. So,
Yeah,
yes, I'm very, very happy to share my knowledge with my fellow educators.
super. And before we begin, I wanted to know about uh, how important is kindergarten education. Before we went live, we were speaking about kindergarten being the least on the priority list of parenting and more focused on college education and higher education, which is also needed, of course. But what are your thoughts on the early childhood
Um,
education?
Absolutely. I just would like to say that sometimes, as parents, even when I was a parent of toddlers, I did not consider preschool education so important.
Mhm.
Just to tell you, I did not come from an education background at that time, and I accidentally landed into this profession. But
Okay.
once I came into this, I understood how important preschool education is because then I studied child psychology. I was working for a Montessori school and I was amazed with the way they taught children. And
Mhm.
as Maria Montessori says, the child's brain develops most in 0 to 7 years. So sometimes what happens is we see that when we grow up, some adults are shy, some have some other issues. That happens because the early childhood has not been taken care of.
Mhm.
So, right now, with new parents coming in, young parents, I think it's very important to identify that
Okay.
it is important to choose a right school for their child during early childhood. It's
Mhm.
not only about studies, academic definitely plays an important role, but at least that 0 to 6 years, 0 to 7 years of age should be on the cognitive development of the child. They should also get a lot of time to play and grow. Once we understand that, the primary and secondary becomes easy because the child falls in love with learning during these years. If we
Mhm.
push them to early childhood, then they grow up and they lose interest in studies. So I think the early childhood should be taken more seriously, and I believe and I would like to work to bring that change in the mindset of people, and especially our young parents and educators to keep uh, learning, growing because world is changing. So I
Yeah.
think it's really, really important.
Absolutely. I think educating both the parents on this way of important phase of childhood. In fact, that's when most of parenting will happen. And also the educator, the teacher, the facilitator, educator, educating them on what they can do in classrooms. I think those two things, if they can be worked out, we can bring about amazing changes in children and make them set more
Absolutely.
confident to take on life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because now it's not just about the school. It's like the triangle: parent, teachers, and the environment all go together hand in hand. So we
Yeah,
need to really collaborate with the parents to bring in that change and happiness for our children.
yeah, absolutely. I think well spoken about the environment also being a very important factor, and
Absolutely.
making that. How have things changed, from pre-COVID kindergarten, since you've been in this space for a good number of years? How has the approach of parents been post-COVID? and what are the changes that you're noticing?
Let me just go a little back. Pre-COVID, pre-COVID, I was like working for a Montessori school for about 13 years,
Mhm.
and then during that time, we always believed that for young children, it's all about hands-on learning.
Mm.
And then COVID came in, and we had to go online. So it was very, very tough. The most difficult thing was to have toddlers online, how to make
Online.
them study. Because we cannot make them do anything, like, so we had to prepare learning kits and different materials. Me also, for the first time, I connected on Google Chat, if I remember, and then we went to another more channels of how, like Zoom. Before it was like Google Connect, if I remember. I didn't know how to use it. My teachers didn't know how to use it. So
Mm.
we had to upgrade ourselves to learn how to do it. We had a lot of withdrawals. Some parents didn't want online classes,
Mm.
but they were scared to send children. Then there came when some were brave enough to call children home and do private classes. Some teachers quit and they did private classes. Some children, we had to find different strategies to engage themselves. Primary students and secondary students, it's all about making them study with the book. But
Mm.
preschool is nothing with the books, it's all play based.
Yeah.
So, post COVID, yes, when the children come in now, we face real issues with their social development.
Mm.
Like, they don't, initially, when it started, they were like, are we in an alien place to see so many people around us?
Mm.
So it was very different. And like, wearing a mask was a mandate for them,
Mm.
and they feel it's a part of their body. So it was so difficult now also for us to take out mask of that from children, because still some parents would send the children with mask.
Mm.
So what has happened is, before, out of 100, 500, you'll have one or two cases of neurodivergent kids.
Mm.
Post COVID, the problem which we are facing is behavior, socializing. It
Mm.
has been a real issue now. Out of every 5 or 10 students, we have one neurodivergent child,
Wow.
which is
Okay.
really sad.
Mm.
And yes, unfortunately, not all the teachers have the knowledge or are equipped to take care of those children. So,
Mm.
as our school, we definitely have taken a step ahead. We have counselor coming
Mm.
in to observe those children. We do have some teachers who are specialized. I mean, including me.
Mm.
I just did my diploma in special needs education
Mm.
because there was a child in my school and I couldn't understand how to handle him. So I thought, if I cannot understand how to handle this child, how am I going to help my teachers? So
Mm.
that made me do the special needs diploma. So now it's easier for me to understand and identify, because when parents come in, I need to also tell them strategies how to handle these children.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are some issues which really still we are facing, and I think it's going to go on for some time.
Mm.
Many toddlers, early childhood children are actually going for therapies, which is quite sad.
Mm. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, this was a, I mean, it had a deep impact. It had on us as adults, even young adults who I work with, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely for sure, kindergarten kids would be the most affected because they're
Yeah.
so tender, so much absorbing happening, and seeing this kind of change can be really, quite challenging. And to just to share a episode is like when we were also making the shift, and
Mm-hmm.
I did try the online for this. I'm talking about adolescents, 13 to 16-year-olds online, and we ourselves didn't enjoy it, delivering it. They didn't enjoy it, and we said, you know what, this is not working out, right? So we realized online was, it's got its limitations, it's got its advantages. Like right now we're chatting across countries, but if you have to do this for hours and hours and days, then it becomes a different challenge.
Right. It
And
got frustrating for everybody at one point of time.
yeah,
Be
yeah,
it teachers, be it students, be it parents. Yeah, we all were frustrated that enough, we don't want to do it anymore.
yeah. So what can teachers and parents do now that the children have come back into the system, come back into, how can we make them more socially adept, more socially, their social emotional learning? In fact, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
How can they make them more easy to get back
Mm.
lost years?
Yeah. I think one of the main things is they need to remove the fear from themselves first. Still, the fear of
Are you
coming
talking about
out of,
parents?
sorry?
Are you talking about parents?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
talking about the parents. So sometimes, we need to let the children learn in their natural environment.
mm,
Still, some parents are scared to send the children out or in a bigger group or to socialize with others. So in our school, we actually try to have like, when the parents come in, we do have some programs where we collaborate with our parents. We bring the parents in to talk with the children and share their expertise on different, like we had a professions day, so we call some parents with that profession to
mm,
come and talk to the children about it. So when they come in, there is a group of children sitting together and watching, which also teaches them character education about being patient and listening to others. At the same time, we advise the parents to have some small play dates for children. Nowadays, we all have nuclear families. Very
mm,
less we stay with, our grandparents or uncles and aunts. It's usually a nuclear family, and most of them have one child.
mm,
So, you understand when a child comes to school and they see another 20 children around them, it's not easy for them to get adjusted. So that's why initially the separation anxiety happens, there are children crying. So the parents need to be strong enough, like emotionally strong, to let go of the child. So I think as a school, it's very important to build that trust
mm,
and love for learning for children that they eventually would come in. And school should have a lot of activities where children come together and socialize, be it a field trip, going out, being independent, having some cultural programs at school, and also advising the parents how at home they can call a smaller group of friends or work around with their own relatives, maybe have more of socializing, because 3 years of pandemic there was no socializing, and these children are born during that time, so they
yeah.
haven't seen much people around them.
Mm, absolutely. I mean, yes, I think having the parents, especially, help their child uh, get back. And in fact, I follow just like John Maxwell. I'm quite inspired by anthroposophy, Rudolf Steiner, and
Yes.
been in that space for educating my own child,
Mm.
and later working in that kind of using those principles. And
Mhm.
we found that same when we can give that warm love to the child, make them welcoming into that school space, they are that much more receptive and adjusting to other children as well. Absolutely. So what can from a classroom management, especially when children with you can say with different needs, okay, are all together, and
Mm.
what can teachers do about it? How do they help children? Do they give individual attention? Will they do you need to keep more number of people there in the classrooms? How do you advise them to manage the class?
Uh, First of all, I think it's very important to identify what exactly is the issue, or I would say something special or something different about the child. Some children only do it to crave for attention.
Hmm.
So as teacher, you need to identify if a child is throwing a tantrum, what pattern the child has at home, or there is something which is beyond our understanding, and then we advise them to take further steps.
Hmm.
So just to share an example, in my school there's a child who was initially coming in the morning, being very lazy, still crying and sleepy, so I just moved him to an afternoon session to make it easy for him, but still he shows the same pattern.
Hmm.
He's coming to school and most of the time trying to look for a place to sleep and lie down. So I just spoke to the teachers yesterday. We had a child with same child's sibling was before in our school, and he was a neurodivergent child. So we don't see the same pattern in this child, but we see that there is some issue at home, because I've spoken to the parents before. They don't have a proper sleeping pattern for the child. So
Hmm.
when he comes to the school, his body is tired. So as adults, if we are not rested properly, of course, we are not fresh at our workplace.
Yeah.
So teacher's concern is, Miss, does he have an issue or it is something? So I always advise them, before you jump into a conclusion if the child is a special need or a neurodivergent child, you need to identify and talk to the parents. So it's very important, as we spoke before, collaboration with the parents. The teachers need to have meetings with the parents. And then, if the school can afford, you should have a counselor or a psychologist who can come in and observe. If not, I think most of the schools, the principals are capable enough to take care of that. So what we do is, if a teacher identifies, I go in and observe the child along with the counselor, and then we come and discuss whether this child has an issue which needs to be addressed by an external help, like he needs to go for therapies, or it can be handled by talking to the parent. And there are a lot of times we've solved things just by talking to the parent and changing their parenting style.
Yeah.
And if the child we are not able to handle, we always ask for a shadow teacher. So that shadow teacher is the person responsible for taking care of that child, while the other teachers are handling about 15, 17 students in the class, because
Nice.
it's not easy for them to take care of that child along with the other students.
Yeah, yeah. I think that shadow teacher is absolutely brilliant idea because that gives them a little bit clarity on what to focus on, while the other supporting teacher is giving them that kind of backroom support.
Yeah, because with one child like that in the class, we do
Yeah.
have other parents complaining that
Okay.
if your teacher focuses mostly on that child, how about my kids? So, we really, but before we hire a shadow teacher, we really need to identify whether we can handle by talking or helping around with the child and changing a little pattern, or we really need somebody to come in and help. And that shadow teacher also doesn't stay for the whole year. It depends. We do it term wise. So we
Okay.
observe, do it term wise, and if the child shows better results, we again would meet with the parents and discuss whether we need to continue with the shadow teacher or we can let go of.
Okay. And what about the home routine playing a big impact, especially like the example you gave about child, coming tired, and sometimes it could be as simple as bad routine at home, and whether it's sleep or resting habits,
Yeah.
and so how important is that, and how is it affecting the rest of the classroom, rest of the class, when a child is not well rested? I mean, the child obviously is
Yeah.
also going to be the bearer of the pain and the thing, but how is
Yeah.
it also affecting everybody else?
Yeah, it see, as I mentioned, that this child obviously is throwing tantrums, crying in the class. So when the teacher wants to conduct a lesson, it hinders there. She's not able to do what is needed, because if a child is howling, how will you continue with it? And sometimes looking at their child, the others start to follow. It's their babies. They're very young to understand. So
Yeah.
they follow a pattern. When they see this child is crying,
Mm.
they are like, okay, he's saying, I want to go to mama. The other one will start crying, I also want my mom. So that pattern happens, and we need to break that pattern. So we need to bring that child outside the class, take him for a walk, make him drink water, and calm down.
Mm.
So I think the routine plays a very important part, and toddlers have a very absorbent mind. If you do not give them routines, they do not understand. So they have a set pattern that I go home, I rest, then come back. So if we don't break that cycle of child not resting properly, it'll go on and on and on. And
Yeah.
sometimes it gets difficult for us to explain to the parents, because they say, oh, that's how we are at home. That's our routine. We only have one room and I have three kids, and they are in that room. One is 17 years old, one is 12 years old. They don't want to sleep early. So, yes, it's very challenging at times to even explain to the parent, and then you have other parents complaining. So I think if as parents we understand to put children into a proper routine, I think 50 to 60% of the problem is solved there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And before we continue, I'd like to thank all the viewers who have joined in now. Thank you so much for taking time out. And with me is Mansi Srivastava, who's the principal of Kipina, Indonesian school, kindergarten school, and she's been working in the educational space for many, many years, I think over 15 years, and brings an amazing wealth of knowledge and insights into kindergarten space. And thank you, Mansi. Continuing ahead, and just I wanted to reintroduce you to the viewers who may have joined in now.
Thank you so much, Captain Pinky.
Superb.
And hello,
So,
everyone, for joining in.
Yes, thank you, and hope you get these insights. Leave your question in the comments wherever you may be watching. It comes to us, and I can ask Mansi, and maybe we can I can share some thoughts as well. And Mansi, continuing ahead, like kindergarten is a space, especially my own thoughts are education is so in a box sometimes, especially when you look at the big picture, right?
Right.
And the unnatural thing about that is made to sit there for long durations of time,
Mm.
children especially, which is as adults we struggle to sit for so many hours in one
Mm.
space, and children have been almost programmed. And both of us, I know we've spoken about this in the at Falcon conference as well, on play being so important, right? So what are your thoughts about play, and how has it shown benefits in the
Mm.
child's behavior, child's growth and development?
Okay. uh, the concept is like sometimes we think the child is only playing, they're not doing anything. On the contrary, they are learning while they're playing. So it's really important to give a lot of play to the children, whether it is a free play or a guided play. So right now I'm working for Kipina Kids Indonesia, which is a Finland international school, and our curriculum is a play based curriculum.
Okay.
So what we do is, when the children come in, we in the morning give them about 10 minutes to do a free play. So free play means that you have a lot of materials around the class and you give them a free choice to choose what they would like to do. It's very important for children to give them a choice because that's again a part of their cognitive development. We always cannot tell them what to do, but they should be able to choose and decide for themselves, which is again a part of a 21st century learning. They have to be critical learners. Now, space plays an important role as well. So, what we do in our classes is contemporary way of chairs. We have a place where carpet, round
Your
carpet.
voice? Okay, okay.
Am I audible?
Yeah, a little bit. There was a little break, but yeah.
So we have different kind of sitting setups. We have a carpet down where it's a circular carpet where children can sit down, lie down, explore. We have a library corner where we have put some cushions and stuffed toys if we don't have children with allergy. They can just relax there and do their work. We also have tables and chairs for them to work around. So there is a difference between play and a guided play. Okay, so in a school, you have to give them an option to play freely or to guide them while they're playing. So, just to share an example, like if we have a theme of aeroplanes, okay, one is you give a child some materials and let them choose and play whatever they want to play. That's a free play, right? You set up your environment as we were talking before. Setting up a right environment is very important. So the free plays they choose, they decide like outdoor play, or maybe we have a place called Imaginarium. So Imaginarium is a place where they can use their imagination and play anything. They can dress up. We have slides there. Then when they come back to the class, it's called guided play. So, guided play, the teacher will give them blocks, show them to make a model of an aeroplane, and ask them to make their own models. So, we are guiding them, we are scaffolding their learning. So, play is very important, and as teachers, we should know when the child is ready to play, step back and just observe. And you'll be amazed to observe so many skills in them. So just believe that play plays a very, very crucial part in a child's development. Once we as educators accept and the parents accept, then life is easy.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think play is one thing that I've noticed, that a child has to be in the present, has to think actively, especially I'm talking about play, which is a little more outdoor, like running and catching, probably,
Mhm.
or something else on those lines, where another child is coming to catch. I have to move, I have to be agile. I have to think on my spot whether to run right, left, backwards, and they're all so many rich neuron building activities in some ways, and builds that creativity. Think of some creative ways to hide, climb. I think that's something which is missing in many education, conventionally based, and slowly they're opening up to those kind of ideas.
Yeah, because I think the traditional schools still feel that the aim is reading and writing. Reading
Mhm.
and writing comes later on. First, you need to develop the basics about a child. Like for me, I just believe in the philosophy, when they are happy, they learn more. So if my parents come and talk to me, so I always tell them, I just believe if your child is happy coming to school, don't worry, they will
Mhm.
learn on their own.
Yeah.
So happiness comes from within, and what gives happiness to the children is play. You
Yeah.
cannot stop them from playing, but of course, as a school, you need to have some guidelines of what you need to do. You need to have routines, as I said before, and children follow that. They understand this is my playtime and this is my time to work. But you need to give them enough time to play, whether it is fine motor, whether it is gross motor skills, whether it is critical thinking, whether it is communication. When they play, all that happens. And you give them different opportunities. Like we do a lot of project based learning, which also is a part of their play. They don't understand that they're making the projects. It's fun for them, but at the
Mhm.
same time we know what is our objective behind it. And yeah, you know how we get our dopamine. Children get that from playing, so it's really really important.
I really like the way you described it, that a happy child. What did you say? Happy child is a learning child, right? And absolutely, I couldn't concur more, because it is absolutely spot on. You put that in a capsule. And I've seen this when I would do some programs for children. They were all, again, older children. And
Mm-hmm.
we would, I say play is across. Don't stop it at kindergarten. Please continue
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the way. And where I would do the program, and and we would start with playing, right? And children would sometimes may come a little late or something like that. They would all now be on time, on the
yeah.
dot, make sure they don't miss out the fun part, which is the beginning of the class. And then go about doing whatever else we did, right? So the whole,
Imagine you started with teaching and they don't want to come back to
yeah,
school.
so they started, so it automatically cheered them up. They were all laughing and smiling, and then when they entered the classroom, they were ready to absorb whatever lessons were
Yeah.
being taught.
I mean, absolutely. If you give them time to play and get their body ready, they would be listening to you more.
Yeah,
Sometimes teachers face issues that, oh, this child is not listening at all because their body is not yet ready to listen
ready.
and sit down.
Yeah,
They sleep, they wake up, they get ready, they come, and we make them sit again.
sit
Where is the
again.
play?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let them play, let them explore, let them be happy first, and
Yeah.
then you see there is a change. So we sometimes, and in the school, we change the pattern. That's why
Mm.
we introduce that morning when the children come, let them play first
Mm.
before you start your circle time, before you start your routines. When they are ready, they will listen to you more, and it has shown great results as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think completely agree on that. And what can parents do back home? I know these teachers are doing this, allowing them a lot of space. How can parents facilitate uh, play in their neighborhoods, house?
I think one thing which really needs to go first is gadgets. It's very
Gadgets.
easy.
Yes. Wow.
Yes. Sometimes it's very easy. I mean, it was so disheartening. We went to a restaurant to eat, and it was a family sitting, but both the children had put their phones in front and eating, and the parents had put their phones and eating.
Mhm.
So it's very easy that there's nothing the parents need to do. Just give them a gadget. They will watch and they will sit there for hours, right? They will watch everything on the YouTube, and it's very easy to engage. But if you make the child play, nowadays also sometimes as parents we need to play together. We are
Mhm.
so busy in our routine. We have our office work to do. Sometimes a child is coming and asking, Mama, 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 but Mama is only busy on the phone. So we need to leave our gadgets and pay attention. So I know that we are very busy. So maybe if you can't give them the quantity, but give them the quality time. Leave everything for 30 minutes. When you come back from work or when your child comes back home,
Yep.
just leave everything and play together. That's all they need. And if that urge to play is satisfied, you will really see a difference. Children will listen to you more, they'll be more disciplined, they will talk to you nicely. A lot of behavioral issues happen because of attention. They crave for that attention from parents, and that's why they behave in a certain way. But
Yeah.
if we give them that attention, if we have an environment, thankfully in Indonesia, the houses are really big. So some of the parents have like a small trampoline in the house. They have some playstations at house. So they are letting the child play, but sadly with the nannies. The
Mm.
parents are not spending time. So we have a nanny culture in Indonesia. One child might have two nannies, or each child has one dedicated nanny to them. So
Mm.
I would just request the young parents, please give your time to your children.
Mm.
For 30 minutes, just forget your work. When you are sitting on the table, when you are eating together, talk to them. Leave
Yeah.
your gadgets behind. I think that's something which I really, really request everyone, because it's already hindering a lot of growth in our young
Yeah,
children.
completely. I think the bond that the parent can get with a child, especially a kindergarten level
Yes.
child, because they're so young and they're absorbing like a sponge.
Yeah.
And if the parents can give their love and attention, and like you mentioned, even for 30 minutes, it can be such therapeutic, giving them the confidence that the parents are there, that love, and sometimes even playing games like just simple rough and tumble games, with the kids.
Absolutely.
Almost it doesn't have to be with toys, it doesn't have to be with anything else. Could be some story exchanges, share your story types, what happened in school, kind of a thing,
Right.
imagination building. So I think that's absolutely the need. And gadgets, like you mentioned, are really the culprit in many ways. And if parents can keep that away, and sometimes parents ask me, what do I do if we don't talk and things like that? I said
Hmm.
it's better to eat in silence. It's okay,
Yeah,
right?
it's fine. I mean, just be together. Leave the gadget, because you know they will follow you. They will do what you do. If you teach the children good, like how when we teach values at home, you see children have those values. If we are screaming on each other, children will always learn to scream at each other. So
Yeah.
we need to be role models for our children. As teachers, as educators, as parents, it's very important to show them. You tell the
Mm.
child, leave the phone, but you are holding the phone. How do you expect
Mm.
the child to leave the tab
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
not? Leave it for a while. Just be, roll on the bed with them, just laugh around, run around in the house. You don't have to prepare toys, as you said. It's
Yeah.
just, and they really need your time. As a child, the first bonding is with the parents. When they
Mm.
grow up, the parents get back to their routine, and the child is mostly left with the helper, and it becomes really difficult. And then they behave in a certain way just to get the attention.
Yeah.
So,
In fact,
so
we always end up doing, most people end up doing the opposite, less attention when they could have given more, and then wanting
yes,
attention when they're teenagers when they don't want the parents around,
then
right?
the
And then,
teenagers don't care.
yeah, and they want the parents, what, please stay away from a thing. And that's when they want that space. That's when you don't have to be there. And give that space. So your real parenting journey is that first 15 years, which you need to really spend and invest. And then after that, anyway, it's out of your hands. They want their own space and time. They want to be with their
Exactly.
friends.
So, what is the time you have? Like, sometimes when I speak to the parents, I always tell them this is the golden period. Focus on your children. Like,
Yeah.
some parents are working, some moms are busy with their own routine, going out, and sometimes the children come and say, "Oh, I didn't meet my mommy for 2 days. Mommy had gone out." And if a child comes to school crying, what
Mm.
happened? Your mom, then they will tell us, "Oh, mommy is out for work for 4 5 days, and they are staying there back with the nannies." I understand nowadays it's important for both the parents to earn to have a good living. But at the same time, as I mentioned, it's not about quantity, but it's about quality. So
Mm.
if you can give that quality time, you will surely see a change in the behavior, in the growth of your own child, which is
Yeah.
very important to shape up their future.
Yeah. I think the parents, most of the kids, especially in kindergarten, that what I've seen is they learn so much from imitation. Like you mentioned, the phone. The parents want the child to stay away, but they themselves are not getting off the phone, or probably doing things which not practicing what they're preaching in some ways, right?
Yeah,
And the
it's
children are
really,
so observant that they sometimes imitate, almost funnily sometimes, holding the phone, walking around like how mama or daddy walks around, kind, and imitating the conversation. There itself, okay, this is what they see most. That's why they're imitating what they observe most. And
Yeah, like you see toddlers, they go back home, they'll imitate the teacher absolutely like how she is in the class. So I tell my teachers, be very, very sure how you're talking to the child. Because the parents come and tell me, oh, this one was imitating this teacher and this one was imitating this teacher. And then I just joke around with them. See, you were a bit upset with the child, and I know that's what the child went home and did. So
yeah,
we adults don't realize, but they replicate what we do with them. So
yeah,
it's really important to set a good example
yeah,
so that we are role models for them, and they develop as a good citizen. They have some character values,
mm,
and yeah, that's how we should think of our future. If we really want good citizens, it starts from the very basic, from early childhood.
yeah, yeah. I think I've seen some places where young kids would try to imitate like a strict teacher, and say what's happening. No, I'm strict teacher walking around with something, talking
Yeah.
to it, and it's almost funny, but somewhere they have
Yeah.
taken that impression, and that's what is staying with them. So it's so deep that they are able to imitate. That means something must have happened. Super. And how to how to communicate effectively between teachers and parents? So many times, uh,
Mm.
how to have a good communication network between them. To convey the teachers' needs or the parents' needs to the teachers.
I think it's both ways. First, what we do with our school is, I always tell my teachers, first you need to be confident about what you're doing in school. Some teachers are so scared to talk to the parents, and because some parents, I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, they get very angry with the teachers, and it scares them, so they don't want to talk to the parents sometimes. And sometimes we receive complaints. So what we do is, we have a program where I try to make complaint as a compliment. Okay, so I think what parents need is a listening ear. When a parent comes to you with some kind of a complaint or some kind of a feedback, I think we should give them a listening ear first before we react. I think most of the problems happen when the teachers are reacting, and they do not accept. We are humans, right? We can make a mistake. It's okay. So I tell my teachers that it's okay if you've made any mistake till the time you come and tell me, and I can talk to the parent and we can explain. If we are wrong, we will apologize to them as well. And at the same time, I think the parents need to be considerate enough and trust the teachers. Like, if you've put your child in the school, that trust needs to be there, and of course the teachers need to play an important part in building that trust. So usually all the schools have their parent teacher conferences, which plays a very important role. So we have it like thrice in a year, which is about, we give about 10 to 15 minutes to each parent to come individually and talk to the teachers. At the same time, we also tell the teachers to have a short discussion during the dismissal time. Or in the morning time, I tell my teachers to stand outside, and if there's some child in the morning, just talk to the parent casually. How's the child at home, if he showed any kind of a discomfort? So I believe it's all about the trust. It's all about your partnership with the parents. If the parents trust the teachers and the teachers trust the parents, they can have a perfect partnership, and we should not be scared. As teachers, if we have some teachers here, please don't be scared of talking to the parents. I will tell you a trick here. We apply that, and that's one of the leadership things which I've learned during my studies and during my mentoring sessions as well. So we always use a burger method or a sandwich method, which is said. So now, nobody likes to hear anything bad about their child. If I say something bad to you about your child, you will not like it. But how do we say it is very important. So you see a burger has a patty on the top and a patty down. So you always start with a positive feedback, tell something good about the child, maybe one or two lines, and then the patty in between is your constructive feedback. If you're giving a parent any feedback about the child, give it with a solution. Don't just say your child is doing this, 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 or he
Yeah,
lacks this skill. If the child is lacking that skill, what extra can they do at home to make it better?
yeah,
Or what extra effort we are doing at school to make it better? And end your conversation again, that burger down, with a positive note. So that just eases everything. So take every complaint and make it as a compliment.
absolutely. I think the highlight of this thing I can really say is the what was the thing you said? Give a solution to the problem, right? The critical must also be the one providing the solace. This is something I've seen not just in teacher, a lot of places. It's good to critique. We all want, even constructive criticism can be sometimes, okay, I accept
Yeah,
criticism. Now what do you want me to do? I don't know the answer, that's why I'm doing this thing again and again, right?
absolutely.
And the person who's critiquing, if they can say, you know what, go down that road, and that's what you're not been doing, then fair enough,
Yeah,
try that. I
yeah. I
think
mean,
that,
sometimes they don't know what to do. They've
yeah,
come up, yeah, I know my child has this problem, but what do I do about it? So
right.
always I think, and that also goes not only in a school setup, but also in your leadership roles. When if you,
Yeah,
anyone is from an office background, or if you're working for an office, or you're handling a team, your team needs also to be given some feedback. There needs to be a constructive feedback with a solution. I know
solution.
I have this problem, but what do I do if you don't help me with that? So
Yeah,
yeah, rightly said. That's really important.
yeah, absolutely. So, what kind of self work,
Hmm.
self practices a teacher can do so that they are better, not just from a content wise, but also as a person to handle children who can be in different modes, different states of learning and things. So, what kind of self work a teacher can do?
Um, I think one of the thing very important when we talk about early childhood, the teacher needs to have be very passionate and have love for children.
Mm,
Whenever we recruit people, we always don't we sometimes don't see the skills how they teach. I think we can teach them. We provide enough trainings, but that virtue of empathy, love, and care is a very important role as a teacher. If
mm,
you're not empathetic, I think you're on the wrong line. That's what I always say to my teachers. This is not an office job where you come 9 to 5, you deliver and go. If you do not love a child, you cannot deliver. So I
mm,
think first and foremost thing is work on yourself, work on your skills, identify. It's fine. Sometimes we get into a profession, but later we feel, oh, probably this is not the right thing for me. So it starts from there. If you identify, yes, I have that love for children and I can give. This is a very humble profession where it's not just about making money, but it is about building future leaders, building, shaping up our future. So it's very important. At the same time, I think we have a very stressful life nowadays when it comes to teachers also. And trust me, it looks like preschool is very easy, but it's really tough. We do a lot of back end jobs. Preparation for each day is very important. We do a lot of cutting and art and craft, and it's draining.
mm.
So, as a school, I think what we need to do have some recreational program for teachers. Take them out once in a while. Have some activities for them. Like in Indonesia, we soon are going to have Idul Fitri celebrations. So
What
what
is
we
that?
do, yeah, so that like Eid
Oh,
celebrations we
please
have.
elaborate.
So it's like Diwali.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
missed that
so
part.
how
Okay.
we celebrate Diwali, this is one of the biggest festivals for them. And Indonesia closes for 10 days. So there
Okay.
is no office, there is no school, so it's completely off.
Mm,
And people will enjoy and celebrate with their family.
mm,
But to again do this, what we do is so they fast for the whole day, they only eat at 6 or drink at 6. So just what we do is, as a community, as a school, we come together and we eat together. I'm going to take my team out next week, and we're going to eat outside the school, talk, just relax, rejuvenate ourselves, and come back. We also have a program which I do, which is called TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. So in that program, what we do is we just have some food. Uh, they love food. Indonesians love food, any kind of food. Plus, then we do games with the teachers.
mm,
So it is something which relaxes and rejuvenates them. We also called a yoga trainer. We tried to do some yoga and meditation. So to calm them down. So
mm.
it's very important time to time you have some recreational activities for the teachers where it's not about curriculum, it's not about students, it's just about yourself. Be happy. Same goes for teachers. If they are happy, they will deliver more. Like happy children learn better, happy teachers deliver better. So we
Yeah,
just try to work around that.
super. And would you recommend, like you mentioned, like teachers are humans, and they have their own
Mm,
stress, family related, health,
mm,
just work and stress. And when they come to a class, inadvertently as human beings we can bring that into the class, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is there anything that you would recommend that the teachers do before they actually step in front of the children, or something that as a school that you all have found that this practice helps us to collect ourselves, rather, if I can use the word,
Yeah.
before we
So
proceed?
what we do here is we were not doing this in my previous school, but in this school when we do it, I think it makes a lot of difference. We have a morning briefing session for 10 minutes
Okay.
where we pray. So every teacher is allowed because we have it's a multicultural country. So we have teachers and I allow them to do any prayer they like. We participate together, and then we do 3, 2, 1. So three things about what you are grateful for.
Hmm.
So they talk about three things they're grateful for, two things they are learning, and one thing they have achieved. So we always have that daily routine of
Okay.
uh, doing this session
Okay.
where you are being grateful and thankful. And if
Hmm.
I see a pattern that the teachers are really a bit hyper, or I see some teacher a bit disturbed, I actually let them meditate for a while. I
Okay.
tell them before we go to the class, let's take some deep breaths, calm ourselves down, and get ready. Also, as teachers, I advise them, we all have problems. It's not just you. Even I have problems at home. Everybody has. When we step in the class, just leave everything behind.
Hmm.
Okay, just go in the class fresh. And trust me, when these babies come and hug you and they just say, "Oh, I love you, Miss Mansi," everything goes away. So that's the best part of preschool teachers. That hug
Yes.
makes your day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and also
Absolutely.
I think I would also tell the teachers to leave their gadgets. Do not
Hmm.
take the gadgets to the class. One message on WhatsApp and your mind is all there.
Yeah.
You've had a fight with your husband, you come in and then he's fighting again on WhatsApp. How are you going to teach? And it's human, right? If you have your phone in hand, sometimes you like check. And
Yeah.
you're seeing your manager is not around and not checking. Oh, let me just quickly check my message. So
Yeah.
I think that temptation we need to avoid to
Yeah.
have a better classroom setup and classroom environment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think absolutely, because today the distractions are so easy to come. We don't have to search for them. They come constantly seeking us. It's our now how to keep them away at arm's distance, and focus on the children at hand. Yeah, I think brilliant. I think that's a great practices you'll have incorporated. I think it's showing in your work. And
Thank you so much.
I'd also like to, before we close, I just want to ask the audience, I'd like to thank them for their time, and I hope you got some great insights. I've got Mansi Srivastava with me, who's the preschool principal from Indonesia, Kipina, a Finland based educational schooling system. And she's been sharing some amazing insights. If you have missed the earlier part of what she shared, you should watch the recording and leave your comments, and we will be sharing some comments and links a little later as well. So, continuing, Mansi, what kind of activities would you suggest, especially to build skills like creativity, critical thinking? I mean, we speak a lot about that. And my own interest in this space has been because after working with different segments, I realized that this is so crucial. I kept coming back and coming back where we should
Mm.
really start working. And I came back to kindergarten, realized that's where the real work is. And if parents and teachers could do great work there, there would be less work for people like me who work in the adolescent and the young adult space, right?
Yeah,
Because they're
true.
already coming confident, great leaders, and we have nothing much to do there.
I agree. So again, as you said, it starts from the very basic. We actually foster 21st century learning, which is again three C's. We need to collaborate, communicate, critical thinking. But how does it come? We need to give them the opportunities, right? So, well, of course, in the lower levels, like 2 to 3 years old or 3 to 4 years old, sometimes it's more about telling them what to do. So when we make a project together, it's more of guided projects. But when they come to K1 and K2, which is 4 to 5 years and 5 to 6 years, we give them materials like, loose parts are very good. We have some recycled materials for them where we let them collaborate, do a critical thinking, and come out with something. So usually in preschools, we have a thematic learning. So
Mm.
every week you have a theme which a child needs to work on or they learn about. For example, right now we are having a land transportation theme. So what we will do is for the higher levels, we are going to give them some materials around. First teach them, show them. The teacher would make maybe a project of her own, or maybe make it together with the children and tell them, what would you like to do with this? Let's collaborate and let's make something different. Like, we know land transportation has car and trains and stuff like that. What would you like to create? And you'll be amazed to see the creativity they have. They talk to each other, they collaborate, they communicate, they have a very critical thinking, and they will come out with something which you might have never even thought of it. So I
Mm.
think that's a very important part of their development.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we are celebrating World Happiness Day in our school, which actually was on 20th March. We are a bit late.
Okay.
So our school is all decorated with smileys made by children to
Okay.
teach them the importance of happiness.
Mm.
And they will be coming dressed up with their smiley t-shirts tomorrow. So I think those kind of things are very important to bring into your school to make a difference.
Nice. I think you should share a photo of that tomorrow in the comments,
I will.
and
I will.
to inspire other schools, teachers about this.
Sure. I
So,
will.
what about another missing element is curiosity, right?
Hmm.
And there has been, in some ways, a decline in curiosity. I'm not talking just kindergarten, but across, you can say,
Yeah.
where an overexposure to information, overexposure to media,
Yeah.
overexposure to experiences, right? Kind of, in a way, dulls them. Ki, I've already seen there, been there, done that kind of a thing,
Mm.
and that's the kind of generation I see when they come into adolescent, young adult,
Right.
right? And so, how can schools help in this?
I think you teachers need to really step back. What we try to do is sometimes we just try to finish our curriculum. Uh, Not talking about preschool, but like in primary and secondary, the focus is more about just finishing the curriculum more than understanding.
Mm,
So I believe if you give them a chance to think, not feed them. Like most of the schools still in India follow the CBSE curriculum. I have nothing against it. I've studied CBSE, but here abroad, even in many countries in Indonesia as well, we have IB
mm,
curriculum, which is
okay.
more research based.
Mm,
So the child is not only just mugging up, reading the book and vomiting out whatever they have just learned in their exam. It's not just about exam. It's
mm,
about learning and understanding. So IB is a very good way of a research based curriculum where the child needs to think, research, write their essays. Like, you cannot just read a book and do it. You need to have multiple resources of learning how to do. So I have two daughters, and both of them are doing IB. My elder one is in Canada, who's about to finish her university, and she did amazingly well in Canada because the curriculum was very different. But since she had that research based, it was easy for her to cope up. But when
okay.
we only believe in just mugging up and going by questions and answers, it becomes little difficult for the child to adjust in the world because we don't teach them the skills to survive,
Mm,
right? We only give them the knowledge, but when you put them in the real world, it is tough for them because they don't have the skills. So I
yeah.
think it's really important to have a research based learning.
Superb, superb. I mean, brilliant, insights. I'm sure parents and teachers would love that. And what are your thoughts about discipline, inculcating the elements of discipline, personal discipline, whether it is things like keeping toys back, maybe
Hmm.
personal hygiene, or anything else? How can school facilitate some elements of discipline, and how important do you think discipline is to build
Well,
in kids?
of course, it's really important. Like when I was in a Montessori setup, it's all about order. If a child brings it out a toy, it needs to go back. That's what we teach them.
Mm,
And some of the schools I saw initially when I came here, some of the teachers, like if you enter the class, it's like cluttered. Toys are everywhere. So we had to teach the teachers also to teach the children order. Something which they take needs to go back before you take another thing. If
mm,
you keep repeating, again with toddlers, it's all about teaching them through repetition. So
Mhm.
once you have that repetition and routine set for them, they already know. Initially, for a month, you would say your class would look a bit messy, but if you keep having those class agreements with them, that yes, you if you want another toy, first you need to tidy up, put it back in the shelf, and then you take another toy. And be consistent. You know, the key for toddlers is consistency and repetition. The
Mhm.
more you do it with them, they will understand. As we said, they have a very observant mind and they will look at you and follow. Sometimes the teachers are teaching, they forget to roll on their mats, their place is messy. How do you expect the children to do it? So you need to role model for the children to fall into that routine. So once we do that, it will be easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And today, coincidentally, I get people, and this is my pet peeve: discipline and bringing that for adults. And they tell me, I will be consistent when it is convenient.
Ah,
You know, that means right now I like to be consistent, but right now I'm very busy, so I'm not going to do this. I will be consistent the moment busyness finishes. I said, exactly. You have to be consistent whether you're busy or free, right?
same
And
goes with teachers. I
yeah.
mean, they also have this excuse, no, miss, it's just the starting. It's very difficult. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be consistent. It's not about convenience, as you said.
Convenience and
I agree.
things, absolutely. So before we wrap up, you've given us beautiful insights and amazing takeaways for both parents and teachers.
My
One,
pleasure.
as a closing thought, what would be one positive parenting technique or positive parenting strategy that you would like to advise?
Uh, I think I would just go back to what I said, give children your time. I
Mm.
think that's the most important thing they need from you. They don't need fancy and expensive toys. All they need is their time. When the child is sleeping, the mom should read out stories to them, cuddle them, give them that love. Once they get their love, everything else is done. So for me, I would just advise the parents, please give them quality time. That's all they need. Leave the expensive toys behind.
Superb. And what would be one positive teaching strategy or technique or anything that you would like to leave for the teachers as such? Kindergarten.
Uh, Yeah, for kindergarten teachers, I would like to tell them never stop learning. The world is changing. We need to upgrade ourselves. I think sometimes the seasoned teachers would feel, oh, we have so much of experience. We don't need to learn anything. We know it all. No,
Mm.
we don't. So with AI coming in, well, definitely our jobs are not at risk for sure for kindergarten teachers. But if we don't upgrade ourselves, we'll be out of the job. We've spoken a lot about handling the children and empathy and everything, but at the same time, teachers need to upgrade their learning. And when you learn and you are ready to explore new options available, new strategies available, you will be ready to implement new ones. So never stop learning.
Superb. Thank you so much, Mansi. You've been brilliant and given me all these insights, and hope the readers have enjoyed it as much as I have, and taking away all these nuggets of wisdom, especially for kindergarten. And thank you to all the listeners, viewers who have taken time to listen and tune in, whether you're watching live or recorded. Thank you so much for your support. And I will be bringing many amazing speakers for this Wednesday dialogue. Do follow, like, share, comment. It inspires me to keep doing these sessions and dialogues. Thank you, Mansi. And any last words, and we'll wrap it up.
Just, I would like to say thank you to you, Captain Preetham, for bringing me here. I'm really happy to share what I've learned in so many years. And it was nice. I suddenly received a call from your team, and it was very impromptu for me to join in. But I thoroughly loved the session. And just one more time, I would like to say thank you for bringing me in. It was a pleasure to be here.
It is our pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you,
Thank
every
you.
viewers. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.